Hello explorers and welcome to another video. Today we are going to talk about Windows 10. And I finally got there. I have my Windows 7 machine set up exactly as I want it on this streaming slash working machine. And I want to update its rig to a new version 10. I have put it off for a long while before doing so because both I rely on this computer, I need it to work. So if there is no video next week, you know why, because I had some problems upgrading. And I also needed to do heavy loads of work for a long while. It can't just crash on me or restart. If I'm running a long running machine learning job, I don't want it to stop and reset an update for a Windows update or anything like that. So I want to be able to decide when an update should be installed. So there are some criteria, and I also don't want any extras because I'm a developer. I work on this machine. I don't want any distractions or any added functionality that is not core to my work. So let's jump over here and look at a Windows 10 machine. This is a virtual machine running now that has all the bells and whistles of Windows 10. It is fully functional, and we can see here if we click on the start menu, get this nice effect where everything opens up and it's very visual. You can see that you have Netflix options if you want to look at movies. You also have a lot of games that you can download and run from Windows Store. You have Microsoft Store where you can go buy stuff or install different things. You have the Office package ready to be installed if you want to be productive with your Office work. So if you are working as, let's say, somebody that does project management or creates a lot of documents or writes and so on, that's stellar. And you have your mail if you work in that. And if you're in the Microsoft atmosphere, you need these applications, but I don't want them front and center like this. I don't really do much 3D stuff, so I don't need a 3D viewer. I don't have a camera on this stationary machine. I don't really use Cortana. I don't listen to music through Groove Music. And I don't use the maps or Edge or anything like this. So you see here you have a lot of options in your menu. You have Xbox Play and so on. I will install my own applications on my PC, of course, and there is a lot of things that I will need in order to do things. For instance, I need Premiere, I need vMix and so on that I do my production work with, but these Microsoft products are not my core working environment. It's not what I use every day. Might install some of them, but I don't need to be advertised these things daily because I will not use them. So that's one issue. Then you have this search bar here where you can search things. I don't need that front and center either. You have these icons here for programs that I will never use. Perhaps this File Explorer, I will use that. Then they have been very nice here and hidden everything that is running on your system. So you need to click here in order to see what is going on and what's running in the background. And as I want to have periods where I run very heavy loads, I need to be able to see at the quick glance what is actually running on my system. So this is not really catered to me. Then you have this notification area here where you can see every notification and what you need to fix in your system. And you might get a lot of pop-ups that tell you, oh, look at this notification, or you got something on Facebook or so on. This is distractions for me. I don't need that. If I need information about something, I will go and look that up. I don't have notifications for Twitter, YouTube, for instance, but I look at them regularly when I have the time. So when I'm in focus and doing some work, I don't have notifications. So there is a lot of things in this system that is good, but there are a lot of things that I will not use as well. So let's jump over to what I think I will be running. So this is a little bit closer to the system that I want. You can see here that it runs on 2 CPUs and it uses 8% of the CPU and 140 processors. That's not really that great. If we look at my system here, it runs a little bit heavy now as I'm recording and having these virtual machines running, but it's only 30%. And I don't use that much memory and I don't have that many processors either. It's 133 against 114, and I have a lot of applications running in my system. So I think there could be more things that I can turn off to gain even more out of my system, but that is something that I can look into later. Another thing here, if you look at the start menu, it's opening quickly, directly, no animations, nothing of that sort. You see that I have also removed some of the applications here. I don't have any extra distractions by these tiles over here. I don't have that many. I still have these over here, but those are useful actually. But you see that I don't have this search bar down here. I don't have these icons. I have a few others that is actually running in my system. And this is also a smaller bar to have less distractions. And I also see all the things that is running over here as background processes. So nothing is hidden and I don't have any notifications. So this is what I came to after running this script. And there is a script by a guy called Chris Titus that does YouTube as well. And I've taken his script and I have modified it to find both to go through and actually just do the things that I need. And if you are going through this process, I think it's important that you know what the script does so you can actually be informed if you want to run a script like this. And I want to go through my script and tell you what I have done and why. So first off, I have this PowerShell script here. Way to run this script, you need to say that you have an execution policy of bypass, and that will tell the system that you will accept that this does whatever it likes to your system. So it can change things that is for administrators. So this is not something that you want to run on a script that you don't know what it does. You only want to run this execution policy on scripts that you are that you have full visibility of. And then we also have this little thing down here, and this is something that I played with. Microsoft has added the Windows Update, and you can turn it off, but they will turn it on again. So if you disable Windows Update, it will be enabled a while later. And if you want, in my case, your computer to run for months doing some extremely heavy work, you don't want the Windows Update to be running, you don't want it to restart or anything like that. So I added this as a scheduled task to actually bring down the Windows Update every hour. And when I looked at this over a period of 2 weeks, it was not running and it didn't restart my computer. So by that, I feel now safe that I can switch over to Windows 10 and still have the functionality that I need. So let's look at this debloat script here. First off, I remove some telemetry. It's not that much that I don't want anyone to snoop on me, as some of the YouTube videos are going in through, because yes, they are gathering a lot of information, but I don't really care about that. I just don't want any extra processes running in the background, gathering data to send off. It's not that they send the data, it's that they are gathering it. So I really want to turn off any of those services because I want my CPU doing work that is important to me, not important to anyone else. And I don't run a laptop here. This is a production rig, so I don't need Wi-Fi in any form. So these scripts here will remove the Wi-Fi hotspot reporting, auto connectivity to hotspots, and also connectivity to OM and so on. So I removed all of that had with Wi-Fi to do. And we have this search bar down there for Bing search in the start menu, and I'm not using that. I have no reason to do so, so that I will disable with these scripts here. Next up, we have the application suggestions, and these are those that you saw down there in the bar as well. So I will turn those off. So everything like this is something, I don't want any suggestions of applications. If I need an application, I will download it and install it. That's the way I will work with my system. So application suggestions is not something that I want. Next up, we have activity history. And gathering history and bloating up the system is also something that I really don't need. If you can see a reason to have activity history and still have all of your CPU time for your work, it might be that that is a bad idea to disable because Windows uses it for something, but the script recommended it and I see no reason to have it. And then we have disabling background application access, and this is mostly to disable all background processes so they won't be started by the system when you have not asked for it. So if you have an application that you have started, it is able to start background tasks, and I don't want, for instance, Edge to run anything in the background or anything like that. It's excluding Cortana here because Cortana needs to have this access in order to run. I don't use Cortana, but you can't remove it from the system because it's very integral to the system. So if you remove it, you pretty much don't have a Microsoft system anymore. There is a project out there that will augment Windows and remove everything. Windows Update, Cortana, Edge, and so on, and replace them with different things. The problem with that is that you don't have any updated safe system anymore. It's not really a Windows system, it's something else. I still want Windows, I just want less of it. Then we have disable location tracking, and this is also one of those things. I don't want to run any locations on my work rig. It's not moving around, it doesn't have any location sensor, so why track location? It doesn't really make sense. I want to disable automatic updates of the maps. I use Google Maps, I don't use Microsoft Maps, I don't have any reason for that. I disable feedback because if I need to give Microsoft feedback about anything, I will send in feedback to them. I think still that the pop-up when something crashes and you want to send feedback to them will occur, but this is more other feedback about how the system is running, and I don't really need that. Then we have this tailored experience for the cloud. I'm not using the cloud part. I will install Windows with a local user as a local service or a local system, so I don't want this extra experience that you get by a cloud account, so I can disable that. Advertising ID, the same thing there. It will collect information and send it off. I don't really care. I just don't want it to do anything of that sort. I want my CPU to do my work. I disabled Cortana. It does a lot of search work and gathering information about the system. and Windows search is good enough without Cortana. I don't want it to search my system, and if I want to find a file, I have other programs that does that better. And error reporting, I don't want to disable that, because if there is an error, I want it to be sent off so they can actually fix my system or fix anyone else that has the same problem. I don't want to remove all the important information from the Microsoft services. I just want it to do as little work as possible. Then we have the restricting Windows update POP only. And this is if you have a system on your local network, and I do. I have 2 or 3 Windows 10 computers already running, gaming computers and so on. And what I can do here is use my local network and download the patches and updates from the other computers. But I have enough bandwidth to download the update every time, so I don't want to fetch it from another computer that might be infected by something. So I want to get it directly from Microsoft. And then we have stopping and disabling diagnostic tracking service. Again, I wanted to do as little as possible. I don't need the WAP push service. And this is wireless access protocol push service. And I don't use that at all. So why do I need that service? Remove it. And disabling implicit administrative shares, I don't use that either. I'm not in a work group. I'm not using the SMB1 protocol. It's very old. Remove that. It's a security risk. It shouldn't be there. Disabling Windows script hosts. I don't want it to run any scripts in the background. I've never written a VB script in my life. And when I do that in the future, I can enable this. But at the moment, I don't need it. It's a security risk because if you have a VB script in a document, for instance, it will run it and it can infect your system. So why have it if you don't need it? And then we have the strong cryptography. I want that. So this will enable the strong crypto things. And that's a good thing. I want a more secure system. And disable Windows automatic restart. I have seen that this doesn't really work. It's in the script, so it will set some of the first flags that could be interesting, but I will look into more flags that you can actually set later on in this video. Next up, we have disabled the shared experience. I'm not requiring to have that. Remote access, have never asked a Microsoft engineer to go into my system and fix anything. And if somebody calls you on the phone, by the way, and tells you that they can help you with your system and that you are infected, terminate that call directly. You don't need to talk to those people. If you want help, you call them. And remote desktop, I don't need that. This is a system that I will do connection out from. I never want anyone to connect to my system. Automatic play. This is something that you need to think about if you need it. I never seen a reason to put in a CD, a USB, a camera or anything like that and have a specific application run. I rather put in the devices that I need and then start the application manually. It's not something that I require and it is a security risk, so I turn it off. The same goes for auto run. I don't want anything to run things directly from a USB stick and infecting my system that way. So this is something that I will turn off. Indexing with Windows search, don't need it. I can find my stuff by myself. And this is something that is a little bit more on the server side, but I see that it's very good for servers that you run in a network that they have the same time. And UTC is a great time to have on all your servers. And I have set my BIOS clock to UTC. I will probably still say that I'm in the time zone of Sweden and get the Swedish time, but it's very nice to have a system clock that is universal. So that's why I set it to UTC. And then we have all these sleep modes. It's not a laptop. I don't need anything. I don't want it to turn anything off. When I go from my computer, I turn the monitors off and log out. So I solve that problem myself. I don't need the system to do that for me. I don't need the action center. That was the notification thing that popped up and gave you a lot of good information. I don't need all that distraction, so turn it off. Sticky keys, it's good for accessibility. I don't need it. I will turn it off. Show task manager details. Yeah, I want as much information as possible to do my work. So of course I want more details. So we can see the difference here. If I open up the first Windows system here and we look into the task manager, it will give you this view. So this is the amount. No, it will give you this view. This is the amount of information on tasks running on your system that you get. And of course, if you not have that, so you get more details, you get the full picture, and that's what I want. So I want that to be my default. And then we have file operations details. Yeah, this is when you are moving files or copying files. You want as much details as possible on how your network is handling the transfer or how your disks are handling it, how fast it is, how long it will take, and so on. So I want so much information there as possible. I will hide the taskbar search icon box. Don't really need the search icon or the box. I don't need the task view button. Remove that. I want to have small icons, so I will turn that on. I don't need the people icon because this is not a computer that is connected to any cloud, so I don't have any people in my cloud. I will show all the tray icons. That's something that I want. Possibly not something that you want, but this is the way to set that. I will disable the search for an app in store. So for unknown extensions, seems great to do that. And then we have set control panel view to small icons or the classic view. Doesn't really seem to work, but it's a good thing to set, I think. And I would like to have the old view where you actually have an overview of everything happening in your system and you can go into the different categories. But as Microsoft want to make things easier for new users, they have hidden a lot of information and made the menus deeper. So to reach the functionality, you need to go many layers down in order to find your information. So if this worked, I really like the old classic where you have everything available to you. And then we have the big one here, adjust visual effects for performance, disable all animations, transparency and things just to make the system less slow in the interactions. I will work on this computer. I need it to be fast. File extensions, that's a security risk to hide those. If you don't know what kind of file it is and you click on it, you might run an application instead of opening a document, for instance. So I want to show the full file name so I know what it actually says it is. Hidden files, I do change things in my system from time to time. I need to find specific files for an operation. So why hide anything in my system? It's my system where I work, so I don't want anything hidden from me. Then we have the recently or frequently used items. And that is a little bit of a security issue because if you are opening up that recent, somebody else will gain information about how you operate in your system. It's not that big of a deal, but I don't really need the system to keep track of that. So I will hide that because I will not use it. And then we change the default Explorer view to my PC or this PC. And that's just a preference on my part. I want to go from into a drive and then find my files. And I don't really want to be in my documents folder. I never save anything in my documents folder or my desktop. I never save anything there either. So why would I have that as my default? Doesn't really make sense for me. I want the PC shortcut to show up on the desktop. Again, we see here that we have Edge and the recycle bin, but in my system I don't have Edge, but I have my PC. Oh, I have Edge, but I have my PC as well. I will hide user music and pictures and videos and so on, 3D objects and all of that from my system. I don't really need to see that in my Explorer view. So if you open up at Explorer here, you see that I have desktop, download, documents and pictures, but you see over here you also have music and video as things in your bar here. You also see that you have OneDrive and so on. I don't really need that because I will not use those folders for that particular workflow. And then we have disabled thumbnails, show file name extension instead, or file name icons instead. I don't want to see a picture on my icon. I want to know what it is, and I want the full file name. Again, I want more information. I don't need you to save thumbnails because I will not show them, so don't cache any extra files for that. I will disable OneDrive, never used OneDrive. I also will uninstall OneDrive. I use Dropbox or any other service. OneDrive has never been a service for me. Might be something for you, not something that I use. And then I will uninstall a lot of different applications here. And some of these applications are not installed anymore. Those are old things, but I don't use anything Bing. I don't use the 3D Builder. I don't have a phone, so I have the comms phone thing. I don't use the get started messaging, some Microsoft things that are also some other Microsoft things that are distractions. I don't use the Office package. I don't use people or 3D prints or wallets or maps or phones, anything like that, or Zoom. So all of that is uninstalled. And also I want to install Netflix and all of these other things that are suggested to me. So all the third-party applications that might be there. For instance, Candy Crush Saga. Well, it might be a good game, but I don't need that when I work. Then we have the Windows Store. I will uninstall that. And you might want the Microsoft Store to install applications and find applications. I will not use this system and I download things from Microsoft Store. I will install them from the internet instead, where I find the things that I need. So I will never need this store. The same goes for Xbox. I don't play any Xbox games on my computer. I work on it. And then we have the Adobe Flash in IE and Edge. Disable that. I don't use IE or Edge. Might try Credge later on, but I mainly use Google Chrome because the dev tools in Google Chrome are really good. Or Firefox, they have a great dev tools as well, but I rather use Google Chrome. Uninstall my Windows Media Player. Don't use that. Use VLC in my opinion. Internet Explorer is just something that is there for a compatibility layer, and I don't have any applications running in Internet Explorer, so why have that application? It's a security risk. And then we have the Works folder client. Remove that, not applicable for my system. Never use that. Install the Linux subsystem. That is nice to have, so that I will install. And then we have unpinning here. So it will go through and unpin all the things that you saw in the all these tiles and so on. So you will try to remove all of those and also remove all the taskbar icons that you don't use, favorite, so on. I enable dark mode. That's something that I want. And then we have another set of bloatware here that it tries to remove. So this is second pass to see that it will remove all the services and all the things that are related to these applications that might be in your system. And I don't use any of these applications. I've gone through them. I don't want Twitter, Facebook, Spotify, or anything like that. Twitter is a great way to stay connected, but when you work, you don't need that distraction. Spotify, you can listen to music. I listen to to YouTube when I listen to music, and I have Spotify on my phone. I don't want it on my computer, so remove it. You might have different ways of setting up your system and other applications that you want to remove or keep. So it's important to go through these kind of scripts and think about what you need and what you don't need. And with this script, I've gone through and looked at, I think, 3 or 4 different scripts online, and I picked the things that are important to me and put them into this script. And perhaps this script works for you as well. Then just go to the GitHub repository, download the script and run it on your Windows system. Check it, of course, first for all the things that I went through today, and see that it only does the things that you think is good for your system, so it doesn't really remove any applications that you need in order to do your work. So this was what I wanted to cover today. As I said in the beginning of the video, I'll try to upgrade my system during the week, and hopefully there will be a video next week. I will try to get one out anyway. This is what I wanted to cover today. If you like this video, give it a like, share it with your friends and colleagues. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do that. If you have upgraded to Windows 10 and have different experience or different applications that you want to remove, please leave that down in the comment section down below. It's gonna be very interesting to see how your system is set up, and I really hope to see you in the next video.